Have you ever listened to a podcast from like Andrew Huberman, Rogan, Ferris, and heard an ad about a mushroom coffee? Or have you seen influencers or ads on TikTok and Instagram talking about mushroom coffee? Well, mushroom coffee is now almost $1 billion category in the world, and I helped to co-create the world's original mushroom coffee. So if you're interested in this concept of a mushroom coffee or better for you coffee without the jitters, how do you choose which one to buy? I'm here to help you with that process and give you some tips and pointers how to choose the right mushroom coffee. And hi, if you're new to the channel, my name is Tero. I am a 13th generation Finnish family farmer, and I live my winters in Austin, Texas with my wife and 3 kids. I am the host of this show, The Spore, where I share ideas and thoughts I have about life, things I've learned along the way, these ideas or the seeds of ideas, like spores are the seeds of mushrooms, get it? And I have a little bit of domain expertise in this specific topic because I helped create the world's original mushroom coffee at Four Sigmatic. So I'm the founder and CEO of Four Sigmatic. We're a 9-figure mushroom business, the #1 mushroom coffee and protein business in the world. We're often the #1 functional coffee in US retail as well, but that's a whole nother story. And I've been doing this a while. I'm obviously biased because I helped create one of the mushroom coffees, but our product is not the only great product on the market. There's many great mushroom coffees out there. Sadly, there's also many not so great ones. So in this video, I hope to share you a framework on what kind of coffee is the right one for you. And I'll try to be as unbiased as possible on everything and just help you navigate to choose the right product for you. That might not be Four Sigmatic, by the way. It might be something else, but just trying to walk you through some of the things that are important about mushroom coffees. The inspiration for the mushroom coffee at Four Sigmatic came from my ancestors in Finland. Finnish people drink more coffee than anyone else in the world. We also love mushrooms. We're kind of like mushroom people. So we love mushrooms, we love coffee, and our ancestors have been drinking these mushroom tea, basically doing a boiling of these polypore mushrooms or tree mushrooms for a long, long time for health benefits, including in the very first Finnish book ever written, The Seven Brothers by Alexis Kivi mentions them drinking chaga for their health. Fast forward to the Second World War II, we were attacked both by the Germans and the Russians, and my ancestors, both of my grandparents, for example, fought in the war, and there was a lack of coffee beans, so they started brewing this as a coffee substitute. And then after the war, universities like University of Helsinki studied the benefits of these mushrooms and found out them to be very nutrient dense and have antioxidants and whatnot. So that was the inspiration when we were building Four Sigmatic, and I was like, I wanted to bring mushrooms to the masses and democratize mushrooms, but mushrooms are very bitter. These mushrooms that we're talking about taste very different than your portobello mushrooms. They're very bitter and earthy and umami. Most people don't like bitters, and they don't have a mushroom ritual. But the 2 bitters that people tend to like is dark chocolate and coffee. So we started mixing our products with that, and that was the inspiration for it. And like with many other things in life, initially we were laughed at when we said we're having mushroom coffee, and nobody knew what Four Sigmatic was or us, and people laughed at us. And then we started gaining traction. We were built heavily on podcasts. People like Rogan and Ferris and a few others helped us get on the map, and the company grew. And then a lot of people started resisting us, said they don't work, this and that. And now it's become a regular thing. And even Folgers launched a mushroom coffee, which is pretty hilarious. So now choosing the right mushroom coffee for you. The first thing you have to think about is caffeine level. So the very, very technically original Finnish mushroom coffee didn't have any coffee in it. It was just kind of like a coffee substitute called tikkate or woodpecker tea, if you want to call that name. And it was just mushrooms, and it tasted a little bit like coffee, but clearly it was not coffee. And when we were doing our products, our first product was kind of like that. Now it's called Chaga Elixir, but it was like a play on the woodpecker tea. And what we found out that some people loved it because it was like a unique flavor, but most people didn't like it because it was nothing like coffee at the end of the day. So we started mixing half and half. And this was the original product. It had 50 milligrams of caffeine, and it came in easy to use packets. This is where it all began. So part of the lure was that you could have your coffee and the delicious flavor and the routine that you've had, but have less caffeine. A certain amount of people who look for mushroom coffee are looking for less caffeine and they're very sensitive to caffeine, for example, and they've had to give up on coffee, but they would like to drink coffee if they could. So a half version of mushroom coffee allows for that. Companies that do something similar products are things like Mud Water. They don't technically have any coffee in it. It's cacao and tea based. And then there are products like Everyday Dose or Rice that tend to have like half caffeine approach, similar to our original mushroom coffee instant version. Now, on the other hand, some people want full cup of coffee, which was surprising to me. One of our first customer complaints was like, why are you selling me half the product? Like they thought it was like a negative that there was half caffeine, where we thought for most people it would be positive. They wanted like, no, I want the same amount of caffeine and the benefits of mushrooms. And now the best-selling products in the space like our ground coffee, this one, as we film it in June of 2024, is the #1 ground coffee on all of Amazon, #1 functional coffee in US retail, and I think #2 coffee overall at Whole Foods. I might be wrong about that, but the point being is that product has the same amount of caffeine as a normal cup of coffee plus the mushrooms. And now there are even companies that sell high caffeine products. Four Sigmatic has one high caffeine product too, because certain people want like a lot of caffeine. Wherever you land in the spectrum, that's like a big differentiator, because certain products only come in one format. So if you want half caffeine, no caffeine, full caffeine, high caffeine, that's a lens to think about for you. Now you might say, is like, why would I want full caffeine or high caffeine versus half caffeine? Well, the other part is flavor. The Four Sigmatic original mushroom coffee got a lot of comments like, it's surprisingly good. But then when compared blind test to regular coffee, the regular coffee tended to win in many cases because there's just more coffee. It's a richer coffee experience. In one case is like, if you really want a coffee that tastes like coffee, you should probably choose a ground coffee version of that product. Or if you're used to using K-Cups or Nespresso, maybe that would be a way to go. But like, how important flavor of coffee is to you. And for some people, they're not coffee snobs. They're like, a coffee's a coffee, it's not that important. Or they like to put a lot of milk and other things in it, where again, milk, cream, or other things can really mask the flavors anyway, so what do I care? But if you are a coffee snob, probably whole bean version of mushroom coffee is the way to go. You can prepare it fresh. There's no binders and adhesives, and you can have the exact type of a coffee you want. And that is the most tastiest and flexible version. The ground coffee version is just a notch below that, equally tasty for most people, but a little less versatile, obviously, than whole bean. And that is important to some people. It might not be important to you, but if it's important, I recommend a ground coffee or whole bean version. If it's not important, then those half-cask versions might be a better way to go for you. The third is somewhat obvious. It's the use case. Certain people love a certain way to drink their coffee. I mentioned Keurig and Nespresso as a couple examples of that. Some people love a pour over, and some people love a French press, V60 if you're fancy. Some people don't like instant coffee. Some people love instant coffee. Some people love packets. Some people love multi-serve. So the format obviously matters. If you go to Amazon and search for your format, like mushroom coffee Keurig or mushroom coffee instant, you'll probably find different options that are more suitable to you. The other thing to think about is the other ingredients. There are increasingly more mushroom coffees that have also other ingredients in them. Everyday Dose has collagen in it, but then vegans don't like it maybe. And then some other people put adaptogens. We started our original mushroom coffees, had things like eleuthero and rhodiola. Other put maybe even supplements. L-theanine is increasingly popular among these products too, to balance some of the jitter effects. Although if you have a half caffeine product with mushrooms, I doubt that that's that helpful. But if you have a full caffeine, let alone a high caffeine product, especially with high caffeine products, the L-theanine might come handy. There's also other nootropics that often get added to these products, sometimes other supplements, vitamin D, zinc, or things that could help with maybe immunity or gut health. We use probiotics in one of our products, for example. So what other benefits are you getting? The three most common ways to buy these products are from the company's website themselves, often referred to as direct to consumer or D2C, Amazon, and retail stores like Whole Foods or Target. If you know what you want, and you're a fan of the company, fan of the product, probably you should buy D2C. If you buy on Amazon, one of the benefits is that usually the price is lower and shipping is faster. So if you buy on Amazon, you get it overnight, one day, whatever the prime is in your area, and the price is lower Not always, but often slightly lower than on D2C. At least initially, maybe long-term, the D2C can have a competitive price. Amazon is very convenient, very affordable, but then you're playing by the Amazon rules that sometimes is a good thing, sometimes is a bad thing. And not every product is on Amazon either. Finally, retail. Funny enough, retail sometimes is the cheapest place to buy these products in person. You can also buy from retail through apps, the Instacarts and other things of the world. There are also retailers like online retailers like Thrive Market that carry some of mushroom coffees. If you shop already at a place like Whole Foods or Target or Thrive Market, then it's a handy place to buy it with your other groceries. And it's convenient. You can have it as much or little as you want, and you don't have to subscribe. Often in D2C, there's a pressure to subscribe, and even Amazon now, subscribe and save is a more common way. And that's how Amazon can be cheaper too, is with the subscribe and save option, because there's often initial discounts on the first order that are a little bit bigger. But in retail, the per price might be lower, and then you don't have to subscribe. It's a great place to try products, but not every mushroom coffee is available in retail. Finally, the quality of ingredients. This doesn't mean just the mushrooms, it also means the quality of the coffee. A lot of people advertise Arabica coffee as a form of coffee bean versus Robusta. Almost everybody uses it. It's not really a quality differentiator in normal coffee, let alone mushroom coffee. Where you source, the altitude, how it's processed, is it washed, is there mycotoxins? These probably matter more. A lot of the instant coffees come from Colombia and Mexico. I've bought samples from all places for instant coffee pretty much in the world. Generally, I would say Vietnam tends to be more Robusta, although there is Arabica there as well. Colombia and Mexico are decent choices. I wouldn't call any of those instant coffee sources like world-class. The world-class instant coffee is very expensive. You can make it, but like if you want really high quality coffee beans, instant is probably not your way to go. Instead, ground or whole bean is probably an easier way to have it. Another good way to look at these companies and learn more about the coffee is go to their website and learn it. But if you're in a rush, is there flavor notes? Often if there's flavor notes, it's usually done by a real roast master. Not always, there's marketers, but it often guarantees also in the roasting level, you might have a high quality green bean, but it's roasted poorly, and then that doesn't match. So who's done the roasting matters, and the flavoring notes are one way to think about it. Generally, I would say is like buy organic. There's a lot of organic options. Not all mushroom coffees are organic by a mile, but I would buy products that have that USDA organic logo up front and avoid products that say we're better than organic, whatever that means. It's usually a marketer thing and the reality is not the same. So recommend buying organic products. There's plenty of those on the marketplace. I also definitely want organic mushrooms for sure. And because like mushrooms can accumulate and hyperaccumulate toxins, so you really don't want a non-organic mushroom product. So you definitely want organic mushrooms, and you want real mushrooms. According to FDA, mushroom is a product that's the fruiting body. It's the reproductive organism of the fungi instead of mycelium, which is the rooting system, and the mycelium is much less nutrient dense. I have other videos on this topic. I can link below if you want to watch them. But if you call mushroom, it's always the fruiting body. And there's a lot of companies that sell these mycelium products that are often 10 times cheaper and 20, 30 times less effective, depending on the case. And instead you want real mushrooms. Companies like Everyday Dose, Four Sigmatic use real mushrooms versus maybe some other companies don't. That is, I think, important to me, but make your own decision and do your own research. But I recommend organic no matter what. Like that as a baseline. And then if you can, do your research and don't trust influencers. Don't trust me either. I'm clearly biased here with Four Sigmatic, but generally like influencers get paid and their loyalty is only as long as somebody's paying their bills. Not always, but many cases, sadly, that's the case. You can obviously get Four Sigmatic in our foursigmatic.com, Amazon, retail stores. We have Keurig, Instant, decaf, half calf, full calf, high calf with different kinds of gut health and cognitive benefits that you want to check out. But there are also many other great brands that I'm sure you can find very quickly. Hopefully you find the product that fits your needs, even if it's not Four Sigmatic, and you get to enjoy the miracle benefits of mushrooms. Thank you for watching this video. If this was helpful, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you hated it, also leave a comment below. I don't need to make these videos if they're not helpful. So thank you for watching. Thanks for your time, and hope to see you in some other video as well. Ciao, ciao.